Have you ever failed at anything in life? You must have. Everybody fails. I fail, you fail, they fail. Failure is inevitable, and failure leads to growth. If you don't fail, you don't learn. Well, you can learn without failing, but you tend to learn more from your failures than your successes. It's opportunity for growth, and fundamentally. They say you should fall down 9 times and get up 10. But how often do you give up after failure? I'm an avid believer that failure is a good thing. Like, the more you fail, the more you get to challenge yourself as to how many times you'll keep coming back. Right? How many times you keep getting back into the ring as such. And it's important to understand and acknowledge that failure is part of life. Like, if you don't fail, like, you gotta fail. Like, and note, failure isn't necessarily such a bad thing. Like, depending on how big you fail, like a colossal failure, like, is bad. Like, or a failure that you cannot bounce back from is also bad, because it depends on how you see failure. Like, little wins, little losses, big losses. Little losses, if you can get back on the proverbial horse, do so. But yeah, I remember, this is going back around about 20 years or so, sitting a mock exam or sitting an exam at school. And I remember a maths teacher walking past during a maths exam as an invigilator. And I looked at the question at the time. I didn't know the answer at the time. And it was basically, there was a triangle and a right angle. It said, work out the area of the triangle. I was like, I know this. 20 years later, I still remember. It was a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Like Pythagoras' theorem. Had I not failed answering that question at the time, I wouldn't now have remembered it this far along the line. Like, okay, fair enough, Pythagoras' theorem hasn't necessarily served me well, and I haven't used it a great deal in everyday life. But it's still important to know, blah, blah. But it's still important to know, blah, blah. No, blah, blah. Still important to remember that had I not failed, I wouldn't have remembered it as well. Like, had I remembered it by fluke, I probably would have forgotten it. And I tend to remember more of my failures and how I overcame them than I do of all my victories. Like, your victories you celebrate. Yeah. We'll tweak this video later, just because this is also not a failure. Making mistakes is a good thing. I make a mistake first time, you can improve it a second time. The whole point of publishing this with the errors in is to show that not everything goes right first time. The next video will be better. Like let's probably work out script, let's rehearse it, and then afterwards, shoot. If you make a mistake, turn it off, start again. This one will have the errors included just to show that not everything is clear cut. Like, even in movies, like, you may watch a movie. How many takes did it take to get it right? Because you may not have got it right first time. Same as this. Practice doesn't necessarily make perfect, but practice does make consistent. Yeah, think about it.